So there were two parts to the question. One is about the Prime Minister holding meetings with leaders in Europe. Obviously, Prime Ministers have to meet foreign leaders in France, the United Kingdom, and all over the world. But meetings alone will not diversify our trade. We have a decade of non-stop international meetings, yet the share of our trade that goes, our exports that go to France and the UK has not budged. Why? Because we cannot get our products over the Atlantic. The Trudeau-Carney Liberals have blocked pipelines, LNG plants, mines, and other infrastructure that is needed to get our products over the Atlantic to the Europeans. I give you the example of France. France signed a natural gas supply agreement with Qatar. We could be selling that gas. We have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas right beneath our feet. We have cold weather, as you're experiencing today, which makes it cheaper to liquefy the gas. We have clean hydroelectricity to power that liquefaction. The steel from places like this could go in an LNG plant, or in, I should say, dozens of LNG plants right across the East Coast and the West Coast and the Saguenay region. So why don't we repeal C-69, the No New Pipelines law, rapidly approve LNG plants, pipelines, mines, port expansions, so that we don't have to sell 100% of our natural gas exports to the Americans. I would have liked to seen Mr. Carney come home with a natural gas supply agreement signed with the French, the way the Qataris have done. We know they need our gas. Japan, Greece, Germany, France, and other countries, Ukraine, have all asked for our natural gas. But the radical net zero, keep it in the ground ideology that has guided the Carney-Trudeau Liberals for 10 years and caused the lost decade has prevented us from doing it. After a lost decade, we don't need to give the Liberals a fourth term. What we need is a real change to bring home paychecks and production and put Canada first.
Hear, hear.
This will be the last question.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. This is Kate McKenna from CBC News. Are you prepared to commit Canada to any kind of emissions target if you become Prime Minister? And if so, what would that look like?
We have to focus on technology and not taxes. First and foremost, we have to take back control of our economy. What would my emissions target look like? I treat this as a global problem. By bringing home production from more polluting foreign jurisdictions, we reduce global emissions while growing our own paychecks. I don't think it is an achievement to shut down a Canadian steel mill and then see one open up in China that produces 10 or 20 times more emissions for each unit of steel. What we need to do is acknowledge that the best way to reduce emissions is to bring home clean production here. For example, National Bank has calculated that we could displace 2.5 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions in India if we would supply them with our clean Canadian natural gas rather than having them power their economy with coal. 2.5 billion tons is 3 times the emissions of all of Canada. It makes more sense to bring emissions down by bringing jobs home through technology and not taxes, and that's what I announced today.
Anyway, I appreciate your commitment and your statements on economic sovereignty and approaching this tariff situation from that. Do you have any ideas, though, on cultural sovereignty to strengthen that, to complement the ideas on economics? I'm thinking of things like continued support for local journalism or local broadcasting.
Yes, we are strong supporters of local journalism and local media, and we will make sure that, for example, local media, independent outlets get their fair share of government advertising. I also think we need a renewed commitment to celebrating our heritage and our identity. Over the last 10 years, there's been a tendency to tear down our statues, change the names of different public monuments in order to cancel our history. I think that has weakened the bonds that used to tie us together. I believe that we should celebrate our history. We should honor our first Prime Minister, John A. Macdonald, without whom we would not have a Canada today. His vision of an East-West nation is really now more than ever needed. So we will be naming public monuments after him and many of our other historical figures. We will put a renewed focus on celebrating the military history, the extremely proud military history that we have over a century of defending freedom at home and around the world. We will ensure that our young people have chances to participate in that history by expanding, for example, the Cadet Corps and other programs that bring our people together from coast to coast to coast to coast. We now more than ever, we have to celebrate our proud heritage and our common Canadian identity. That's what unites us. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Next question.
This is Joe Coppolino from the Tribune Express Carillon, a local paper here. Following up on James's question, you've said that you want to get rid of the local journalism initiative, which is super important for our paper ourselves, particularly in this region where we are a bilingual paper, one of the few in the country and in the province and in the country. That program basically keeps us alive, particularly as businesses in this area begin to struggle, and I expect that they're going to struggle more in the coming years, regardless of which government comes on, given the economic opportunity outset landscape. What ways will a government support local journalism outside of the local journalism initiative program, which helps fund many of the journalists in this area?
Thank you. Well, I have raised concerns with how the government has run that program and other media support programs. My platform will have measures that will strengthen local and independent journalism and give actually better and stronger voices to local journalism than we even have right now. So you'll have to stay tuned for that platform. We're just getting started. There's another roughly 6 weeks, and you'll be seeing a lot more from me, and I think you'll like what you have to see about local journalism.